20 years ago, the sky cracked open. That was not a metaphor. It was not the kind of dramatic sentence people used in old doomsday novels. The sky truly split. On that day, above 72 cities across the world, black fissures appeared at the same time. They hung behind the clouds like the pupils of some enormous living thing, slowly opening over humanity. At first, people looked up and filmed it. Some live-streamed, some cheered, some even stood beneath the fissures and made wishes, thinking they were witnessing a once-in-a-lifetime celestial phenomenon. Then the first starbones descended. They were not beasts, not machines, and not anything human language had been built to describe. Their bodies were made from jagged bone like armor in dim starlight. Their limbs twisted at impossible angles. Their shadows moved a fraction slower than their bodies, as if even light itself could not keep up with them. The first city fell in less than 4 hours. By the end of the 7th day, the old world had ended. Humanity survived only because the fissures brought more than monsters. They also brought fate realms after the age of 18. Every human had a chance to awaken a fate realm, a world connected to the soul. From those realms, summoners could call forth powers, teachers, spirits, weapons, bloodlines, and ancient inheritances from countless other worlds. Some awakened martial realms, some awakened mechanical divine kingdoms, some awakened ninja worlds, ocean emperor bloodlines, sword tombs, beast sanctuaries, and forgotten kingdoms that had never existed in human history. The stronger the fate realm, the higher the rank. F was the lowest, S was legendary. And above every official record, there were a few sealed cases that no school textbook dared to explain. 20 years after the sky cracked, humanity had learned how to live behind walls. The 9th safe zone stood beneath a gray morning sky, surrounded by alloy walls, patrol towers, and anti-rift cannons aimed toward the wilderness. Beyond the walls, the land still carried the scars of the Starbone invasion. Within the walls, life continued under rules, alarms, and constant surveillance. At the 3rd high school of the 9th safe zone, the annual awakening ceremony had begun. Students who had just reached adulthood stood in neat lines before the awakening monument. Teachers watched from the side. Military personnel guarded the perimeter. Families gathered behind barriers, trying to look proud while hiding their fear. For most people, this ceremony decided the rest of their lives. A high-rank fate realm meant resources, training, status, and a real chance to step onto the front lines. A low-rank fate realm meant logistics, clerical work, medical support, or the kind of ordinary life that could be crushed the next time a rift opened too close to home. Lin Jin stood in the crowd, quiet and unremarkable. He wore the same school uniform as everyone else. His black hair was a little messy from the wind. His expression was calm, but his fingers were curled tightly at his side. He was not from a famous family. He had no powerful bloodline. He had no sponsors waiting to claim him. To most of the students around him, Lin Jin was the kind of person who disappeared into the background before anyone remembered his name. That morning, the first name that shook the school was Shen Qing. When she placed her hand on the awakening monument, blue-white lightning spread across the stone like veins of light. A cold wind swept through the courtyard. In the illusion above the monument, a world of dark mountains and storm clouds appeared. A figure wrapped in lightning flashed across the sky like a blade. The examiner's voice trembled. A rank fate realm. Ninja world. Lightning attribute. The entire courtyard erupted. Teachers smiled. Students gasped. The military observers immediately began recording her data. Even the principal, who had seen many awakenings, could not hide the satisfaction in his eyes. Shen Qing withdrew her hand and stepped down with a calm face. But her gaze briefly passed over Lin Jin. It was not contempt. It was not encouragement either. It was the look one gave a classmate whose future had not yet been decided. Soon after, Qin Yu stepped forward. Unlike Lin Jin, Qin Yu had never needed to blend in. He was tall, confident, and carried himself like someone who had already been told by the world that he belonged above others. The moment his palm touched the monument, the ground seemed to shake. Blue light surged upward. In the projected vision, a vast ocean spread to the horizon. A throne rose from the waves, and a giant shadow wearing coral-like armor opened its eyes beneath the sea. A+ rank Fate Realm. Ocean Emperor Realm. Tyrant Body Inheritance. The courtyard exploded again. Qin Yu turned around, enjoying every stare, every whisper, every stunned expression. When his eyes landed on Lin Jin, the corner of his mouth lifted. Looks like the ordinary people are still waiting, he said. The laughter around him was not loud at first, then it spread. Lin Jin did not answer. He simply walked forward when his name was called. For a moment, the courtyard became quiet again. Every student placed their palm on the awakening monument with fear and expectation. Lin Jin did the same. The stone was cold beneath his hand, almost lifeless. 1 second passed, then 2, then 10. Nothing happened. No light, no vision, no spiritual pressure. The examiner frowned. The students behind Lin Jin began to whisper. Did he fail? Can someone fail awakening completely? That is worse than F rank. Qin Yu laughed openly this time. I thought you were quiet because you were hiding something. Turns out there was nothing to hide. The examiner was about to declare the result when Lin Jin's consciousness suddenly sank. The school courtyard vanished. Wind disappeared. Noise disappeared. He opened his eyes in a black wasteland. The ground beneath him was cracked and dry. But it was not soil. It looked like ashes pressed into stone. Far away, beneath a sky with no stars, a white bone palace stood alone. In front of the palace, a rusted black blade was stabbed into the earth. Beside the blade stood a man in black robes. The man's eyes were covered with a strip of cloth. His face was pale. His posture was still. But Lin Jin felt as if he were standing before an ancient battlefield that had learned to wear human skin. The man spoke. You came late. Lin Jin's throat tightened. Who are you? The black-robed man turned his face slightly, as though he could see Lin Jin through the blindfold. A nameless soul envoy. Lin Jin looked at the rusted blade. What is this place? The man was silent for a moment. Then he said, the throne you inherited, the prison they buried, the realm that should not have opened again. Before Lin Jin could ask more, the black wasteland shook. In the real world, the awakening monument finally reacted. But it did not shine. It only gave off a thin, dark ripple, so faint that most people missed it entirely. Words appeared on the surface. Unknown Fate Realm. F rank. Summoned Entity. Nameless Soul Envoy. Danger Level. Sealed. For 1 heartbeat, the examiner froze. Then the courtyard burst into laughter. F rank? Unknown Fate Realm? That just means useless. His summoned entity does not even have a name. What kind of summoner gets a sealed danger level at F rank? Is the danger that he might embarrass the school? The laughter crashed over Lin Jin from every direction. He stood before the monument, face pale, but his eyes remained steady. Only Shen Qing did not laugh. She stared at the words, danger level, sealed, and frowned slightly. Qin Yu walked past Lin Jin and lowered his voice. A logistics class will suit you. At least there, you can carry supplies for real summoners. Lin Jin looked at him once. Still, he said nothing. That silence was not weakness. It was the kind of silence a person used when they could not afford to waste strength on anger. After the ceremony, the school assigned students according to their awakening results. Shen Qing entered the elite combat class. Qin Yu was placed in the highest priority training group. Lin Jin was sent to the logistics class. The decision was announced in front of everyone. Some students tried to hide their smiles. Others did not bother. To them, an F-rank unknown fate realm meant Lin Jin's path was finished before it began. The homeroom teacher from the logistics class gave him a sympathetic look and said, "Do not think too much about it. Logistics work is also important. Safe zones cannot function on combat alone." Lin Jin nodded. He understood the words. He also understood what they meant underneath. You are not expected to fight. You are not expected to stand out. You are not expected to become anything more. That evening, Lin Jin went to the hospital. The medical ward smelled faintly of disinfectant and cold metal. Machines hummed beside the bed where his younger sister, Lin Xiaomin, lay under a thin blanket. She was too pale. Her wrists looked fragile under the hospital light. When she saw Lin Jin, her eyes brightened. "Brother." Lin Jin sat beside her and softened his voice. "Did you eat?" "A little." "That means you did not eat enough." Lin Xiaomin smiled weakly. "Then I will eat more tomorrow." He looked at the medical bill beside the bed. The amount had increased again. Higher treatment, better medicine, a more stable spiritual isolation chamber. Every line on the report was another wall he had to climb. Lin Xiaomin noticed his gaze and quietly reached out to touch his sleeve. "Did your awakening go well?" Lin Jin paused. Then he smiled. "It went well." She looked at him for a long moment. "You are lying." Lin Jin's smile faded a little. Lin Xiaomin did not press him. She only whispered, "Brother, no matter what you awakened, you are still you." For the first time that day, something in Lin Jin's chest almost broke. He lowered his eyes and said, "I know." But when he left the hospital that night, his hand was clenched so tightly that his nails cut into his palm. F-rank or not, useless or not, he had no right to stop. He needed money. He needed resources. He needed to become a summoner. Because if he failed, Lin Xiaomin would be the one who paid the price. That night, the black wasteland opened again. Lin Jin stood before the rusted blade. The nameless soul envoy stood across from him. "If you want power," the envoy said, "then first learn fear." Lin Jin frowned. "Fear? Yes." The envoy raised one hand. The darkness behind him twisted. A starbone phantom crawled out of the wasteland. It was smaller than the monsters recorded in textbooks. But the moment it appeared, Lin Jin felt his entire body stiffen. Its body was covered in bone plates, and black pollution threads crawled between the gaps like living veins. The envoy did not move. "Draw the blade." Lin Jin looked at the rusted black weapon. "You are not going to help me?" A summoner who waits for his summoned spirit to save him is already dead. The starbone phantom lunged. Lin Jin barely touched the hilt before claws tore through his chest. Pain exploded. Then everything went black. When he opened his eyes again, he was standing in the same place. The same wasteland. The same blade. The same monster. The envoy's voice was cold. Again. Lin Jin died again. And again. And again. He was torn apart, crushed, bitten, pierced, and swallowed by darkness so many times that his mind began to blur. Every death felt real. Every pain remained in memory after the world reset. At first, he screamed. Then he cursed. Then he begged. The nameless soul envoy never answered. Only after Lin Jin stopped wasting breath did something change. The next time the starbone phantom attacked, Lin Jin did not retreat blindly. He saw it, a thin black line running beneath the monster's bone armor. It was not flesh. It was not blood. It was something deeper. The line that held its pollution together. Lin Jin reached for the blade. The rusted weapon was heavier than it looked. He dragged it upward with both hands and swung. The strike was ugly, weak, desperate, but the blade touched the black line. The Starbone phantom froze. Then it split apart without a sound. Lin Jin collapsed to one knee, breathing hard. The nameless soul envoy finally spoke again. Remember that feeling? Lin Jin looked up. What was that? The first thing you must learn to cut. Pollution? The envoy turned toward the Bone Palace. No. The lie that says a thing cannot be killed. The next morning, the school held its first basic evaluation after awakening. Strength, speed, spiritual pressure, reaction. Lin Jin's results were painfully ordinary. Not terrible enough to be interesting. Not good enough to be respected. Just ordinary. The logistics class students looked relieved to have someone below them. The combat class students lost interest almost immediately. Qin Yu glanced at the results and laughed. So F rank really is F rank. Lin Jin wiped sweat from his chin and said nothing. But when the pollution perception test began, everything changed for him. The testing chamber released a controlled trace of starbone contamination, diluted enough that even new students should only feel a vague pressure. Most students frowned, hesitated, or pointed toward the wrong direction. Lin Jin looked into the chamber and saw black threads. Dozens of them. They hung in the air like cracks in glass, twisting through the space, connecting the pollution source to every unstable point in the room. He knew exactly where the core was. He also knew that no one else could see it. For a moment, he almost raised his hand. Then he lowered it. The memory of the awakening monument came back. Danger level. Sealed. Lin Jin chose to hide what he saw. His test result remained average. No one cared. No one. Except for the people watching from places he could not see. Late that night, the principal sat alone in his office, replaying Lin Jin's awakening footage frame by frame. At first, he had only wanted to confirm the F rank result. But something near the bottom of the awakening monument caught his eye. For less than half a second, before the words appeared, a black crack had spread across the lowest layer of the stone. The principal froze the image. His face changed. He enlarged the frame again and again. The crack was there. Thin. Dark. Wrong. He had served in education for many years. He had seen failed awakenings, unstable awakenings, mutated fate realms, and even students who suffered backlash from forbidden inheritances. But he had never seen the awakening monument crack like that. Not from the top, not from the center, from the bottom, as if something buried beneath the ranking system had opened its eyes. The principal hesitated for a long time. Then he encrypted the footage and sent it to one person. Chen Beixuan, the city guarding throne of the 9th safe zone. Inside the military command room, Chen Beixuan received the file close to midnight. At first, his expression remained calm. Then the footage reached the moment of awakening. The black crack appeared. The sealed danger level appeared. Chen Beixuan's fingers stopped moving. For several seconds, the command room was silent except for the low hum of equipment. An officer beside him asked quietly, "Commander?" Chen Beixuan did not answer. He only stared at the screen, at the name Lin Jin, and at those 5 words. Danger level. Sealed. At last, he spoke in a voice so low that it sounded more like a warning than an order. "Seal this file." The officer straightened. "What level?" Chen Beixuan looked toward the dark city beyond the reinforced glass. The highest level. Outside the safe zone, the wilderness was silent. Inside the city, Lin Jin slept in a small room, unaware that his name had already entered a file ordinary people would never be allowed to read. And deep within the black wasteland of his soul, the rust on the black blade loosened by a fraction. The nameless soul envoy stood before the distant Bone Palace and whispered into the darkness. "The heir has awakened." Quote,